right, welcome to Cryptic Corner, a dark little space in the hive where we talk about things unknown. Today we have we kind of had a running theme going on here for a little bit, and today we may deviate from that a bit, but not by design, just by chance, because we have an I don't know how to describe it. A conspiracy channel, a mystery channel. These people are clearly, and this could have easily fallen into Creation Watch, which if anybody's a fan of the channel will notice that that's kind of a running theme, is that young Earth creationist people and bizarre cryptic belief people are kind of neck and neck, and they're often intertwined in their communities. And today we're talking about Quest for Tartaria, which is a channel that I'll pull up, and well, I'll go ahead and pull it up now. Let's see. Here we are. And they are, I don't know if I would call them a cryptozoology channel. They do cover cryptozoology, clearly, which, I mean, we are going to get into momentarily, but they they cover so much more than that. They cover all the stuff that we love here in the hive, and I don't want to oversell this. So the first video that we see that comes up here, Quest for Tartaria, they're using the AI generated images from circulation that we did in a full covered in-depth review of just a few weeks back. And I think that that's scheduled for, when is my video on that scheduled for release? Hold on here. Let's see. No, not live. We want to see Cryptic Corner. It might still be a ways out. No, it released. It premiered November 4th. So November 4th, it's called The Lost City of Dolly 2. That was the video I did on these. On this little weird little dinosaur looking picture here. This one right here. Everything on here that says Isaac Middleton on it, or Alfred Isaac Middleton, is regarding this AI created story and slideshow of images, of bizarre images. And a lot of these crypto channels are doubling down on these being real evidence. And I am Paleo Logos. Hey, it's good to see you, my friend. I loved your Nadali cave video. It was amazing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna derail for a second, just to fangirl over Peter here, because he did this video on the caves that the Nadal. I'm gonna mispronounce the name. How do you say it? Nadali? Yeah, that these Homo sapien, or not Homo sapien. I'm going way off the rails. Hominoid bones were found in this, way back in this cave system, and there's they had a fire back there. They had little bones of creatures that they were cooking. It was and little, like, if I was understanding it correctly, and I've looked into this before, that they had little burning waypoints to direct them and guide them back to the part of the cave. It was freaking great. So keep up the good work on that, Peter. Yeah, please. You guys can lightly poke Peter. Peter is a creationist, so yeah, I don't mind a little spice back and forth in the live chat. But please be respectful, because Peter is a friend of mine, and we have a good relationship. And I like having people in the Christian community, in the young Earth creationist community, even, or in the old Earth creationist community. I'm not picky. Allies in that community, that we can lean on, and that we can help us help us pick apart some of their thought processes. So keep up the good work. And yes, Paleologos, thank you, Sandy. Sandy is a fantastic mod, by the way. Good morning, Godseed. I'm glad to see you here. And we had John Hudson pop in as well. Don't want to leave anybody out. If I missed you in the side chat, Ian Davenport, I missed you, and I love the pride flags. Pride and Ian Davenport, a wonderful ally. But let's get back over to Tartaria, because that's what this guy is all about. Now, his quest for Tartaria doesn't really go much into Dolly 2. These are just, he started off just doing these really short stuff, but Tartarian Road in Arizona, apparently. I think this is probably an old wagon trackway, but we may explore that at some point. But we got giant trees. We've been there. We got, oh, look, the suicide of Saul with the dino camels. Yeah, we got mud fossil stuff. We've got lost continent stuff. We got biblical stuff. Giant trees is you know, something that I find absolutely fascinating. They go on treasure hunts here. Look, so this is a channel worth picking apart. Obviously, mud fossils have been done recently, so I'm not going to dive into mud fossils. What I'd originally meant to dive into was this book of Tartaria, right? And I shared this with, I have this this private little exclusive club, let's call it, called the Swarm on Twitter, and they help me, and Swarm members, you know who you are out there. And they help me to pick out what I do each week. They are an amazing group of individuals I could not run this show without. So thank you to the Swarm. They are production support. They are content support. They're even joke support. I get memes and stuff from these people to put up between takes and things like that. So they help support the Hive. They're like active members of the Hive, basically. Even if, whether or not they're a patron or anything like that. So thank you, Swarm. I actually bounced this off of them because what he's done here is take a, well, I can show this real quick. I don't mind. That's not the right video. I don't mind starting with this, and this is why I picked this, because we were in Antarctica, right? Visiting Antarctica, and this starts off perfect, right?
Dark rocks called nunataks appear above the ice. Then rugged mountain ranges as far as the eye can see. Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught an unbelievable.
This is, if you don't know what this is, we're hearing and listening to and seeing a thrown together video clip of, this is Admiral Byrd's tale, his fantastic tale of what happened to him in Antarctica when he was doing the flyover, when he was he part of was it Deep Freeze, Operation Deep Freeze, where they started doing missions into and over the Antarctica tundra and wasteland below. I would love to get monetized. I would absolutely love that. It would make it'd make the dedication I put into this feel like it amounted to something. So yeah, I would totally be into that. Morning, Regios, Scott Duke. It's good to see ya. Got all kinds of cool people. Tubi, and yes, this dude does mud fossils. But mainly what I wanted to talk about, and yeah, we're not going to get into this. This may be our climax for the month, is doing the Admiral Byrd, but I gotta find somebody who has a good presentation on it that I can actually sink my teeth into, but we'll see. What I was really getting into with this gentleman is that he has like a wild notion about these images from the bestiaries of old. This one is actually quite famous, and so I don't know why he's like, this is a secret book, because the way he describes it, let's Let's see. Um, Here's a secret book in the library in New York. You can view it online. So it's secret, but you can view it online. It is filled with undiscovered animals and creatures. Maybe the events in the Book of Enoch are earlier than we were led to believe. Are the Watchers still chained underneath the earth by angelic chains? Admiral Richard E. Bird, discovered land in Antarctica comparable to New Mexico or Arizona. Like and subscribe. Yeah, there's the link to Admiral Bird video. I might grab that at some point in the future. Chained Angels. Book of Tartaria in your local library. Now, if you click on it, it takes you out to Historia Naturalis. It's a very, very famous bestiary, one of the earliest modern attempts to present some accurate zoology. Before this, bestiaries were allowed to be fanciful and full of myths and monsters, but this one too is full of myths and monsters. It kind of toes that line, but it does give a lot of scientific names that, while not all of them stuck, obviously we don't have all of these organisms in the animal kingdom anymore. There's a lot of, like here, look, you got the jackalope. So obviously this is filled with both animals that are real and exist in reality, and animals that come to the ears of the artist via various traveler tales and probably from other bestiaries or pre-existing bestiaries as well. So this gets really wild and really into it. Look at this guy. It's like long-necked sloth here. Isn't that wild? The way that they project these organisms. Look at this. Look at these. Here's a monkey. Look at, again, they give an impression that its tail is like serpentine. I think this is supposed to be some sort of procyanod. We will go back and look at this bestiary sometime in the future. Okay, it's definitely in the deck, and we maybe revisit this as we move through different cryptids and stuff that come up, because a lot of cryptids are based on old bestiary depictions like this. That's where they find their origins at. But yes, we will someday revisit this site, but we're not going to do that today. That was originally the plan. That was originally planned to review this video for today's show. It's about half an hour long. Nope. What we're actually going to do is another video of his. So that was what brought me here, though, because I do want to explore that. And to make it out like this is some forbidden knowledge is pretty wacky, in my opinion, because it's a very famous piece of written history. It's like, I think it was one of the earliest. It's famous for being one of the earliest of something. Hold on, it's going to drive me crazy if I don't look it up. No, I'm not going to do it live on camera. We'll revisit it. When I talk about it next time, I'll have more of the facts and details in mind. I just don't have that in the front of my head right now because I got all the stuff to respond to this in the front of my head. And do you guys like dinosaurs? Because I love dinosaurs. I think everybody here knows that, though. Who doesn't? Who didn't? If you're in the side chat and didn't know I like dinosaurs, it's time that you learn. All right. So we are going to definitely be talking about dinosaurs today, because this is a video about a living T-Rex in Australia. And actually, let me blow this up, because I think I can do a full screen on this. Let's see here. Make it a little more visually appealing, right? So let me Pop that up. Do 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 do. Living T-Rex. All right, here we go. We got an FBI warning. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures. So that means that they're going to be using some visual stuff. But you know what? We're doing that to you. So I'm glad you understand, Mr. Tartaria.
Tartaria. Welcome to Quest for Tartaria. In this episode, we will explore the bonjour.
I can't hardly hear him.
Breathing Australian T-Rex. Check it out, guys.
Country up at Corumba on the Gulf.
I'm going to restart it because I couldn't hardly hear him. There we go.
Greetings, fellow explorers and my brothers and sisters of Tartaria. Welcome to Quest for Tartaria. In this episode, we will explore the bonjour.
Let me know if you guys can hear
it's
it.
It's a living, breathing Australian T-Rex. Check it out, guys.
Gulf country up at Corumba on the Gulf of Tartaria. I found 2 years ago with Heather, and this creature had walked through a paddock during the night and walked across a little dry sandy creek about a couple of metres wide, and there were a couple of tracks there, and I only had enough plaster for one anyway, but I took photos and slides and it didn't come out too good, but I got this. And
wow, that is a massive footprint. I am impressed by that. I don't think it's from a living T-Rex. Something like that size living undetected in Australia, where it's, unless it's seeing something that big wouldn't do good in a dense region, a dense forested region, because it'd be too big to move about. But if it lived in Australia in the open land, yeah, the megafauna is kind of hard to keep hidden. Megafauna the size of a T-Rex, which, you know, it can exceed, 4 meters at the shoulder, I believe. Yeah, I can't fathom how they think that something like that could remain hidden and we wouldn't see, because of the calories that something that big would need to sustain itself would be representative in the ecological studies of the area. And Australia gets a lot of ecological studies because it's a unique biome, right? It's very it's loud enough now. Okay. It's very unique and isolated too, so we can make a lot of inferences on how ecological structures work and how we can do more like independent surveys of different factors. Because when we study evolution and when we study how organisms interact with each other and how biomes change and grow over time, there's a lot of bisecting of different schematics. So you might do a survey to, like, oh, how much of this pollen is found in this possum's fur in the months of September. You might do a survey on that. And that's just a new data set that you throw onto this gigantic grid of corroborating evidence that is ecological and is, has practical application, is ecologically driven, and demonstrates evolution in real time. It has practical application, right? So, yeah, people denying evolution kind of makes me scratch my head. But this guy is saying that a megafauna, a predatory megafauna nonetheless, is stomping around the Australian outback undetected. Before, what did they eat before? Because I know we brought cattle and there's camels and things like that live in Australia now. Even I think a camel would give a T-Rex a run for its money, though. A camel can be a pretty fierce critter. T-Rex might be able to bite, but a camel sure can bite too. I've seen a camel pick up a donkey and throw it. They don't mess around. Anyway, let's get back to the video. We're only 45 seconds in and I'm yammering and yammering.
that convinces me Burrinjaw exists. Burrinjaw is a giant bipedal reptilian creature in Aboriginal folklore.
Paleologus says all Australian sheep herders should know. LOL. Yeah, right. It'd be that scene from Jurassic Park. Oh, that was a goat though. Yeah, but it'd be like that. It'd be like, what happened to the sheep?
You can't be a giant lizard standing on two legs like some monitors are known to do, you know, when they've been seen running.
Sir, you don't. Okay. Calling this a giant lizard footprint is quite telling of how much thought you've put into this proposition, because lizards do not have the three-toed feet that you're showing here. Lepidosaurs do not have three toes. They diverged from Archosaurs well before theropods went down this digit reduction route that they did. Lepidosaurs, lizards and snakes, in their allies like the tuatara and things like that aren't quite lizards or snakes. And there are a lot more extinct species too, amazing creatures like mosasaurs. But I will digress and step back for just a moment and advise that giant monitor lizard cryptids are already present in the cryptozoological folklore of the outback, but they would not have three-toe footprints like this.
So he's got 3 toes and not 5. That makes him something like, well, people would naturally think of a Tyrannosaurus, and it's along that line, but who's to...
Or a giant duck, because it doesn't look like it has like pointed toes. I don't know.
Say that they're not around. Still, the golf...
Judging by the size of that last footprint, guys, that beast must have been at least 20 feet tall. That's as big as Rexy in the Jurassic Park series.
Right.
In this video right here, the Aborigine people go out because there's some unidentified prints in the sand. So I did a little bit of reading on this. So they get out there and...
Can we classify MAGA as a subset of megafauna? Magafauna. I get it. Play on words. Well, yeah, and the Tyrannosauroids. What was the Tyrannosaurid presence in Australia? I don't think that there was ever Tyrannosaurs in Australia. Maybe I could be wrong. I know that U.S. we had, of course, the famous Tyrannosaurus Rex, Dilophosaurus, Nunuchosaurus, which is my favorite Tyrannosaur because I like the polar bear depiction. But I don't think that there were Tyrannosaurs in Australia. Let's see. Maybe theropods, and yeah, I got this just pulled up on another screen. Cretaceous, because that's when the big boys were around. So what was the dominant theropod in the Cretaceous of Australia? Because it's weird that they're calling, because Australia, for most of the Mesozoic, it was connected and included Antarctica and South America and Australia all together in one supercontinent. Oh yeah, Madagascar and India, Africa was connected for a little bit too. Let's see. Just trying to get some species information here. Australian theropods. Let's see here. Late Cretaceous, Australian theropods. Let's see, there's Tyrannosauropus. Let's look and see what that sucker looks like. Yeah. And there's Scardopus. Alright. Get some facts on it. Is it a Tyrannosauroid? So I'm willing to say, oh man, I was wrong about that. There were Tyrannosaurids, and this says it's a hadrosaur, which is not even it's not a carnivore, and its toe prints certainly don't look like Here, let me share it. I got this guy paused over here, and I'm searching, and yeah, there. So, oh, you can't even see that side of it anyway. Over here, it classifies it as a hadrosaur. But yeah, you can see if we look. There we go. Yeah, it's because they were suggested originally to be made by Tyrannosaurus. That's in Utah, though. Why is it saying this is... I don't know. Anyway, this isn't even from Australia either. My bad. All right, let's continue on because we only have so much time to cover.
They've been trying to show the colonists and the people in Australia that these creatures exist, and they've existed for a long time. And what you have to understand is Australia is barely inhabited by humans. I mean,
that's kind of a misrepresentation. Australia's interior is barely populated by humans. That's because it's fairly inhospitable. But they do have some of you guys out there. I don't know. Do I have any Aussies in the chat here? Yeah, there's cities and stuff in Australia, my friend. It's not a lost continent with just little tiny populations of indigenous people or anything.
It's just a very minuscule area along the coastline. You could even look into it. The most of Australia is a vast wilderness.
Well, and that's any continent, by the way. Most, like 85% of the population lives within 20 miles of the coast or something like that. We are a species that like coastal waters.
And if you compare Australia to the United States, you'll see that Australia is...
That's what I was saying, Ring, that Gondwanaland had their own groups of theropods with what they call an abelosauruses. I was checking to see which abelisaurids live in Australia. I started going down a rabbit hole, and you all don't tune in to watch me research. I did not pre-watch this because I like to be surprised by some of these and learn about them on the way. But if I don't know the information, I'm not going to pretend I do. But I do welcome you and anybody else in the side chat to drop factoids as we move along. So if somebody wants to tell us in the Hive what the largest theropod in Australia was during the Cretaceous, and we're talking like late Cretaceous, I guess, because they're talking about Tyrannosaurids. So I mean that was up to the end.
Enormous. And in Queensland, they see this creature in the swamps, and it's just not a hospitable place for humans. And the creatures seem like they don't really mess with humans either. And
they see it in the swamps. So this would be a large animal, though. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we haven't had people going up missing because the Bourgeois ate them or whatnot. I'm sure there's other cryptids out there that may have a go at people. But oh yeah, check this out, guys. We're about to get really, really good.
I just look at what they're filming here as footprints, and I just want to say, oh honey, this is not a footprint. That is it's made by water though. It's a ripple. There's the way the shadow's hitting it is giving it that impression. And you'll see that a lot in like Bigfoot photos and like the Paluxy River footprints that you have to hit them you get the shadows just right, and they will look like a footprint. But yeah, this is a ripple. There's 1, 2. Let's see, 1, 2. I should have saturated this so you could see it. Again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And remember, I was planning on doing the the bestiary till I saw this on when I went to his channel, because I'm like, I always like when I do a new channel, I like to pull up their main stuff so you can kind of get an idea. Thank you, Paleo Logos. Oh, and you got ring dropping Australorvinator. Most theropod fossils from Oz are too fragmentary to name as a species for certain. What is Australorvinator? How do you say that? Australovinator. I'm gonna go with that. Australovinator. What clade is that? Is it a abelisaur, or is it a cellulosaur? Assuming it's not like a Maniraptoran. Now that might be footprints of something. But it doesn't look like it would be a theropod, though. It almost... Big three. So what I'm seeing here, let's see, 3 toes in the front and sort of a paw on the back. I'm wondering if this isn't a macropod, a small macropod that is... Okay, bear with me on this, and this is just a theory, but let me rewind it to one of the bigger ones. Not these ones, because these ones are clearly just ripples. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm wondering, and again, just a theory on this, if this isn't a macropod that is sitting on its haunches and bounding. So this would be the tail, where the tail pushes into the sand to kick it off the ground. This here and this here are either foot on either side of, this is where the body presses into the ground as it leaps forward. Let me see. Macropod tracks. And when I say macropod, if anybody doesn't know what I mean, macropod is like kangaroos and wallabies and that family of organisms. So I'm going to pull over a more defined trackway where we see that a macropod, a known macro, oh damn it, Shutterstock's over top of it. Let me see here. This is what we'll do. Yeah. Okay, so, and I'm just pulling this, shooting from the hip on this too. So, hold on. Go back. I didn't mean to play that. All right, hold on. Where's my macropod track? I dropped it. No, I can't find it. There it is. All right. Let me know if that looks all right for you guys. We just want to see the trackway. Yeah, so this is it won't let me get any closer to it. Sorry, guys. I thought I'd be able to blow it up. But this is let me see. Maybe if I open it in its own window. Open image in new tab. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is a macropod trackway. Okay. So if we look at that, you have these 3 streaks that run behind them when they hop through sand. It's because they move in bounds, right? And something like this the kangaroo or macropod moving, not the way that it looks like if you're looking at these as toes, but moving this way, moving downward, or yeah, downward, yeah, and other way downward. Sorry, forget my camera's mirrored. So no, downward. There we go. Anyway, draw the correlation, right? Right here you have the kangaroo, and right there you have. And I'm not saying for sure. It's just my theory. This is a kangaroo traveling in the opposite direction. Let's move on though. Right, even if it was a footprint, it looks like a three-toed paw print more so than a theropod track, right? And that one definitely looks like a macropod print there. Dinosaurs did not have paws. They did have toe pads, but I mean anything that walks on feet has toe pads, but they weren't like a three-toed tiger paws, which is what this would give you the impression of. Again, the more they show of these, the more convinced I am that these are macropod trackways. With the hind legs and the tail forming the three toes, and then where the kangaroo pushes with its front, because they do like a thing where they push with their front paws, is their, yeah, where they, so they're, so where they when they kind of put their forepaws between their hind legs and go back towards their tail. So, you know, as they move along these points, they're going to have more pressure on the front limbs as they hold, because it's putting all their weight on, balancing all their weight over just their little paws held together in the middle and the front of them. So that's going to be a lot deeper of an indentation than where the feet and the tail lie. So you're going to have a deeper pocket where the heel was on the footprint, because that's where the kangaroo's forepaws are pushing down. And then you're going to have the lighter spots where the hind feet and the tail were resting, where the weight of the animal was distributed more evenly, that are lighter and look like toe prints. And so it's a kangaroo trackway or a macropod trackway. It's not all macropods are kangaroos, but those are the most common that people think about. But patty melons are smaller, and there's everything from the size of a like a house cat to the size of a big red kangaroo, which is like a deer. So they have a spectrum. So they're gonna be all sizes of these trackways all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. Again, more looking like a paw because of the way macropods move. And the more they show, the more convinced I am that I'm correct. If you look at these as a kangaroo moving in the opposite direction that they're presenting here, with its tail, hind legs, and feet, yeah. Because it's definitely not how theropod footprints would look. I like the intense music that's playing though. But I might speed this up through this, at least till he starts talking again, because all this is them showing us these tracks. I wonder if these guys know I can't hardly hear them, and that's not on my end. That's
Native Australians have been talking about the Borinjor for a very long time, before even the discovery of dinosaur bones. And I mean, I believe a lot of these cryptids out there, especially when they have native names, you know, they are worth looking into. And a lot of the modern controllers, they don't want us to know that these things exist. They want to make us live in this industrial revolution.
and know that these things exist, that you haven't shown anything that exists. These trackways are not the evidence that you think they are, my friend.
World instead of this magical, amazing world that we actually live in.
That's what I was going to say, Ring. I wonder if these guys that are going out there and making these videos, if they know what those because again, I'm fairly convinced, and I absolutely welcome any argument from anybody, any counter that what we are looking at there are indeed macropod trackways in the sand. If you disagree with me and you have a better narrative that you think that is, I think that's generally, when it comes to Australian theropods, that's the long and short of it. But absolutely disagree with me.
My real question is, after doing this study, was how big is Australia? I mean, it's only colonized on the outskirts, but I mean, how big is it really?
Because this guy, I think, is definitely doesn't buy into what we know about the Earth. I don't know if he's a flat earther, but he definitely has ideas about the layout and geography of the Earth that differ from the observed geography. After reading Rex Gilroy's book on Borinjor as a long shot, I honed in. Should I be honed in? Like, I gotta be honed in using Google Earth on one of the areas it's been seen in. Oh my goodness, the black betta. This blurry image is a T-Rex seen from space in Australia. Oh,
Another cryptid that is allegedly roaming around in Australia. This creature is described as a giant lizard with small clawed hands. It's 20 to 25 feet long and 20 foot tall, and
obviously he's sampling somebody else's video on this.
Is bipedal, very similar to that of a T-Rex. And due to the fact that there are a lot of reported sightings, and it's even in the Aboriginal...
Yeah, right, exactly. The zoological garden that has a living dinosaur, that captures a living dinosaur and has it on display, especially a large one, they're going to be rolling in the money.
mythology, some believe that it might actually exist somewhere in Australia. And Australia is a continent with a very low population, and most people do live near the water. So, although extremely unlikely, but it's possible that there could be a large unknown animal still hiding from us there. One famous encounter happened in the 1950s when cattle ranchers spotted large three-toed tracks in their fields. And these ranchers, well, they were kind of freaked out by this because they had never seen...
Which we've gone over just a moment ago. I'm going to speed this up. This almost sounds like a voice to text thing. Yeah.
Any tracks like this before. And at this time, their livestock did start to go missing, and they discovered a half-eaten cow. And they believed that whatever animal made these huge tracks was responsible for killing this cow, and most likely all the others that had disappeared never to be seen again. This story sounds almost identical to my last video about the megalania, in regards to people finding large tracks and half-eaten cows in their fields. But there is one huge difference. The megalania has 5 toes, not 3. And I would like to thank my subscribers for pointing that out to me. Another very similar case happened in 1980, when ranchers believed something big was stealing the cattle. Big enough to pick them up and carry them off. At first, these ranchers thought that it must be crocodiles, but one of them claimed that he saw a 20-foot-tall monster carrying a cow in his jaws. And this man, scared to death, ran as fast as he could and he hid behind a bush. And because so many ranchers were losing cattle at this time, they were fed up. So 20 of them got together in hopes of finding and killing this monster. But when they...
Wouldn't it be awesome to be on like a Australian outback dinosaur hunting team going out into the outback? That was my Muldoon from well, I guess he's South African, isn't he? From Jurassic Park. I think Muldoon was South African, but in the first movie. But maybe he was Australian. I can't remember for sure. But dinosaur hunting guy from the first Jurassic Park. Clever girl, that guy.
Reached the river, their dogs started to act strange, and then they ran away. Then the horses just stopped. They would go no further. So the ranchers, a little bit freaked out by this, decided to call it off. And while they were walking back to their ranch, they did see some large three-toed tracks. Now, about a week or so later, these attacks on their cattle stopped, so they figured that this animal, whatever it was, must have moved on. Another sighting happened in 1957 when ranchers saw all their cattle just start to act crazy one night. And while they're
yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna let this play.
looking around wondering what the heck was scaring them,
if it's just gonna be this, because it's like what he's got clipped into here is like a Watch Mojo or Top Tens or something like that video where like some editing team just throws together and then they hire a voiceover guy to read a script.
saw one of their team members running and screaming at the top of his lungs in the distance, followed by what appeared to be a very large creature. Now, since it was night, they didn't get a very good look at it, but the next day they did find out that some of their cattle had been ripped to shreds and eaten. Another story happened in 1978 when a man who was herding cattle in a very remote area got lost for 3 days. And while he was missing, 2 Aboriginal trackers, along with a couple policemen, were looking for him. And during the night, the 2 Aboriginal trackers woke up the policemen and told them that they need to leave now. And as the policemen were getting up, they noticed that the ground was shaking, and these 2 trackers looked scared. Something very big was walking nearby. And this just scared them to death, so they got the heck out of there as fast as they could. And while they were running away, they did hear strange sounds, such as grunting and breathing. Now, if this policeman who came forward with the story is telling the truth, it does make me wonder, how big would an animal need to be?
Well, I mean, that's sort of a, yeah. You heard something, and there were some vibrations. I'm not going to make a claim as to know what it could have been, but I don't understand why you would jump right to, oh, it's a Tyrannosaur. It's going to be...
If it could shake the ground when it's walking. Now, according to this article, there have been many reported sightings over the years. In 1961, a man reported seeing a 25-foot-tall bipedal reptilian creature. In 1922, there was a mass sighting from ranchers who reported seeing a huge bipedal monster with a crocodile-like tail. Then in 1982, there was another sighting of a bipedal creature that looked exactly like a dinosaur, but it was only about the size of a man. Then in 1961, a group of hunters claimed that they saw a huge monster that looked exactly like a T-Rex during a dust storm. A very famous case happened in 1985 when a family claimed that while they were driving in a very remote area, they saw a 20-foot-long monster covered in feathers. And there are many, many more sightings.
So did it have feathers? Was it reptilian and crocodilian? All these features that they're attributing to this animal are contradictory to have, because you have people that are reporting it like a old-timey dinosaur, grunting like a mammal. Because the vocalizations that I've heard some vocalizations that are allegedly what a Tyrannosaur was supposed to have sounded like. They mostly sound like, well, I guess they do sound like rumbling, I guess. I don't know if I'd call it grunting. And that's just speculation on how long of notes that it held and all that, because it could have, and there's other methods of communication as well. Archosaurs have a lot of unique characteristics. Now, crocodiles and alligators, they do make rumbling sounds and growl. I don't know how close they were to the water when this sighting took place, but a crocodilian would definitely be something to be concerned about. It would rumble and growl and maybe make hissing sounds as well.
Which is amazing. And what I find fascinating about this case is that these creatures are in the native mythology. According to them, they have been living side by side with them for thousands of years. And there are many cave paintings of what appear to be an animal that looks exactly like a T-Rex. Now, it is believed that the T-Rex only lived in North America and Asia. But in 2010, archaeologists made an amazing discovery. They discovered that there was once a dinosaur that is a cousin of a T-Rex that did live in Australia millions of years ago. And it is known by the locals as the Australian T-Rex. And it perfectly fits the description of all these sightings, which is mind-blowing. It is rare to cover a case that has so many sightings over the years, making me wonder, could a large dinosaur that once roamed Australia millions of years ago still exist to this very day?
The boar and Jor. Honestly, my mind was blown by the footprints in the sand. But guys, can you imagine? Yes, of course we can. We should check out the Tartaria map also to see what's on it.
The Beringer is allegedly a large theropod-like animal reported from the Australian outback. Most Beringer sightings tend to be thought of as things that have happened close to 40 years ago, 40 to 50. Certainly nothing more recent than, say, the 1980s or 1970s. However, speaking of my Beringer video, I've had the opportunity to come across far more recent reports. Granted, it is only 2 of them, but they're very interesting, and the fact that they've been shared anonymously with nothing really to gain certainly may be considered significant. In order to help relay these newer reports, I've put together this video and asked my good friend and colleague, Nate Brislin, to help narrate these reports. If you'd like to read them yourself, they can be found in the comment section of my Behringer video, which again is worth a watch if you want to know more about the actual subject itself. All this video will cover is these new reports, which will now be read off. Make what you will of the following. The first report is a more general one, coming from the late 90s, and involves a second-hand story.
Okay.
When I was about 1, me and my family went on a long vacation and tour of Australia, late 90s. When we reached the Cairns in Queensland, on one day out with the group, we went into a rainforest park up in the Highlands. One of the guides
Your
told us about
background music is way too loud for your audio.
That walked on its back legs. The Aboriginals also said that they were aware of a creature in the jungle, the body of a kangaroo, but the head and skin of a crocodile. Sounds like a dinosaur to me.
While the first was more vague, this second story is far more specific, and although anonymous, entails much more than the first did.
A friend of mine who lives in Australia saw a Behringer in 2014. I'm going to share her story anonymously. He had just bought a farm and moved his family out of the suburbs. He was out looking for a sheep that had escaped and came across a T-Rex wading in a creek. He watched it drink for about a minute until the creature started sniffing about in his direction and grunting agitatedly. He fled immediately, fearing that it had noticed him and would attack. This event scared him.
All these lay people that are identifying this as a T-Rex, can we just say large theropod people? You don't have to claim. Every large theropod is not a T-Rex. T-Rex was one species and one genus of one family of, yeah. When it comes to theropods, I know T-Rex is the poster child, but just because it's the biggest doesn't mean that every one that you see in media and pop culture or in the Australian outback is a T-Rex. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there.
So bad that he sold the farm, packed up his family, and returned to the suburbs. He had been so excited to get out of just a few months before. His wife was extremely confused and angry about the whole situation, and eventually threatened to leave him and take their children if he didn't explain what was wrong. Finally, he told her what he saw, and that it had terrified him imagining what would happen if the creature came across his children who loved wandering the property when not doing chores, or his wife who often went out on her own to do work in the remote areas of the farm. His wife was part Aborigine, and instead of saying he was on drugs or lying like he expected, was only mildly surprised. She told him that native Australians have known about them forever, and seen them more often than people would believe, but simply don't mention Behringers because white people call them crazy. She was more shocked that one had come so close to their house because they avoided humans whenever possible. They're still married and living in the suburban neighborhoods to this day, and he still refuses to go near the area of their former property. I'm not sure if I believe the Behringer, but I do believe something scared my friend so badly. He dropped his lifelong dream, gave up thousands of dollars, and moved his family over 200 kilometers to get away from it.
Those are some truly amazing YouTubers and truthers. You'll find them on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description.
I don't know that they're truthers. Let me see who your sources are here for these videos. He said he's leaving them in the comments here, but I guess maybe he didn't. Oh, there's a playlist that he's using here. Okay, I got you, friend. But I don't think that first one sounded like a Watch Mojo kind of thing. So I don't know if that one was a truther or just somebody, a content farmer.
Now let's check out Australia. Okay. We are busting out the Tartaria map.
The Tartaria
this is, of course,
map.
China area, and I think that's Japan, and of course the Philippines area. But what I found really interesting is down here. I mean, if this is Australia, then it was way bigger. If this is Australia, and where I'm thinking it's Australia, is because the old camels were imported into Australia, to fit the narrative, but there's already camels on this map. Creatures that are living in the trees.
Wait, though, hold on. That said Nova.
Camels were imported into Australia, to fit the narrative.
Dropped his lifelong dream.
Okay, we are busting out the Tartaria map.
Wait, see where it says Nova Guinea right here? And first of all, yeah, this is not going to be Japan. If let's look at his map. We're gonna let him show us.
And
I'm gonna slow it down though because I want to go over all the things that are wrong here. So
I'll leave a link in the description. Now let's check out Australia. Okay, we are busting out the Tartaria map, and this is of course China.
That's China
area.
So Japan would not be over here. This would be like, there's Borneo. It says right there, Borneo. You got Taiwan there. And some of these are going to be old-timey names, but that's definitely Borneo. And that's where Borneo would be located. This is not Japan. Japan would be totally on the other side of China. It would be up over here. And it would be beside China up there, not underneath it. So that does mean that this island that we're looking at, and when he scrolls down here,
and I think that's Japan. And of course the Philippines area. But what I found really
This would be New Guinea. Even there it says New Guinea, Nova Guinea. Nova meaning new, and Guinea, New Guinea. That's what
interesting
we're
is down here.
looking at.
I mean, if this is Australia, then
Nope,
it was
not
way
Australia.
bigger. If this is the Australia, and where I'm thinking it's
But I find it interesting that they have what is clearly... is this Homo floresiensis up here then? I think they're supposed to be the native people of New Guinea. And the fact that you have primates and camelids there. Kind of... Because you don't see any marsupials here. And, you know, there's deer. Deer don't live in Australia, but giant monitor lizards do water monitors. Deer in New Guinea. Let's see what species of deer New Guinea have. Obviously, they have the birds, right? Like that's what comes up. Is it gives me Rias and stuff, but let me see. As far as mammals, monotremes they have monotremes and marsupials. They have placental mammals, rodents. We have deer, microbats. Okay, we have domestic dogs and domestic cattle. They actually have their own species of wild dog called the New Guinea sinking dog. Polynesian rats, there we go. 3 species of deer have been introduced to New Guinea. The russet deer is the most common and well established. It is found throughout the south of New Guinea. The other 2 species are the chaital and the fallow deer. Fallow deer were introduced in a lot of the world, but so presumably this map was made after some colonization when we've introduced some deer, if that's what we're looking at right here.
Australia is, you know, they say, oh, camels were imported into Australia, you know, to fit the narrative, you know, but there's already camels on this map.
This is in Australia.
Creatures that are living in the trees.
It's New Guinea.
Griffin kind of creatures here too.
Yep.
All kinds of different creatures. Let's see if we can find
Traveler
any
tail monsters.
hidden creatures that just might have survived. Got your lion and griffin fighting here. And you got your serpent and your giant yeti fighting down here too.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like grasslands and trees.
Right.
Cyclops.
The Cyclops.
Okay, first off, there's this.
Yeah, I think
Looks
that could be a water monitor, maybe. There's also some very large, gorgeous snakes.
Some kind of
in the
serpent,
area. Yeah.
serpent creature.
Ooh, there's a lady riding a dragon down there in the water.
Something that, some kind of elk or deer that swims in the sea.
Or it swims across the sea, and it's supposed to be a representation of an animal they saw crossing a strait between 2 islands.
Some strange creatures.
Yeah. There are some strange creatures.
Going to
I
the
don't
oasis
disagree.
here.
But this isn't Australia.
I mean, are those dodo birds? There's that.
But
There's emus, and I believe that's what's in Australia.
That's probably a cassowary.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe these creatures were indigenous to the area. Serpent. There's a serpent with only two legs, which is interesting. Camel. All right, we're back here again.
You know, you're just going over the same ones again, but let's
Maybe a
move on.
bear. There's some kind of creature. I can't tell if that's
A thylacine,
a
maybe.
wolf, bear, serpentine.
I guess
not
a,
sure.
a thylacine
There's
or
that.
something,
That's-
yeah. And it's a... Ooh,
That's
that looks like an armadillosuchus.
Some kind of bird.
So maybe a
Some kind of primate.
representing a crocodile down there.
And then Dimetrodon, looks like.
No.
interesting. Yeah,
not a
1500s map, guys.
Dimetrodon. That's like a basilisk lizard, right? Something along those lines. Let me see. Basilisk lizard. I think this is in their range. Nope, it's actually not. No, basilisk lizards. See, I don't mind being wrong. They're on the other side of the Pacific. They're South America. But yeah, well, there could be some kind of lizard that has a frill like that, though. That's in the in New Guinea. Oh, we had the New Guinea fauna pulled up here. Why did I even click away from that? All I had to do was scroll down to the reptile section, and it'll tell us what kind of snakes and stuff live there. New Guinea is represented by 3 of the 4 extant orders. The squamates, also known as snakes and lizards, represent the largest group with approximately 300 described species. The remaining 2 groups, testuodine and the crocodiles and turtles. Yeah, I'm not saying crocodiles are testuodines. Turtles and tortoises are testuodines, and then crocodilia is the other group that's listed on here. Which is weird because they carve birds out of this and put it into its own category. Even though birds should, if crocodilians are nested under reptilia, there's no reason why birds shouldn't be, because they are both archosaurs. It doesn't give us like a specific list. Oh, let's see, a list of endemic reptiles to Papua New Guinea. Yeah, there's a lot to go through here. I'm not going to do this live on stream, but
Look at that.
no,
Dinosaurs and humans, or this.
it's a crocodile.
So I don't know if I see the bonjour necessarily, but I mean, they had
elephant.
look like elephants and stuff. Okay, let's see if we can find Australia on here, which is really interesting.
No, you can't.
Okay, if you would look at the bottom of the map, it says Terra Australis Incognita, but also in small little writing right there.
Terra Australis just means the land of the south. There's what do they call it? Terra Borealis is the land of the north. So Terra Australis is land of the south. Antarctica was the real Australia. They named the continent of Australia, and then they had to think of a new name for Antarctica. But that's what it originally applied to. It just means the land of the south.
It says Antarcticus or something, Antarcticus. But yeah, I found that out while I was doing my video editing, and I thought, wow, Australis, as well as the Circulus of Antarcticus, which is really interesting because it reminds me of the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn. What if there's also a Circulus of Antarcticus? But yeah, and there we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Just one
Antarctic
basalt
Circle.
beach. And this is the Columbus map, if I remember right. See the
Yeah, this is
Nova Todius.
a map that's not quite filled out just yet. They weren't sure. Like, if you look at the Northwest here, this is like the Northwest Passage that you talk about in ancient times that they were searching for. This is the known world of North America. They didn't know too much about what was north of California over here. They didn't know where Greenland ended. This was all thought to be, for a long time, thought that there was a massive landmass up in the north called Thule that was accepted and cataloged and everything, because travelers would go up there and just see the ice sheets and think, oh, that's just a massive landmass up there that goes on forever. And that was the idea behind that. And it was thought that was that Thule may have been connected to North America, but there was also the notion that there was some kind of passage to get through here called the fabled Northwest Passage, which actually is a thing that exists now, that climate change has opened up the seaways for the first time in human history. So there is actually a Northwest Passage for the first time ever. It just took a couple 100 years for us to make it with our chemical and pollution, but I'll digress and continue on.
Terram Orbis Graphicia, I think. Or wait, I forgot where it says it. Right here. Oh, American Christopher Columbus. Blah blah blah. Okay, so it's interesting. But anyway, the Magellansia Terra Australis Incognita.
That's talking about the unknown land of the south. Incognita is unknown. So Magellanic, in tribute to Magellan, this is what they would have called this area back then, because Magellan was the one who described what was down there. How much of his description is accurate and reflects reality, obviously you can take it with a grain of salt. Looking at this map here, he did fill in the blanks as best he could with the information that he had. I'm not shaming him. For the time period, this is a very progressive map, a progressive depiction of the world. So, and it tells you like, oh, India's over here, so to give you an idea where you're supposed to be. But Terra Australis Incognito means the unknown land of the south. Terra meaning land, Australis meaning south, Incognita meaning unknown.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting. But look, is that saying that this land is all through here, and also it's being called like Australia?
Yes, it was, because the word just means land of the south, or yeah, southern landmass or whatever.
Isn't that weird? Isn't it odd how Australia? I know it's a vast wilderness, guys. I understand, but how much of the continent do you guys really know? All you Australians, how much of that continent do you guys really know? Have you guys?
See, even back then they didn't know just yet that Australia, like this circle's in the way here, that Australia wasn't attached to more land down there. It was seen from far away. Australia, and because this is before Cook, right? If this is the Columbus map, this is before Cook. So all we had was distant sightings, mostly of people traveling this course to see all these ships right here, traveling these courses around the Horn of Africa to try to bypass the spice road. Europeans were ever endeavoring to find their own direct route to get spices and bypass the traders in between. So they would travel around the Horn of Africa into the southern seas, and sometimes they would drift further south and catch sight of land masses in the distance that they weren't provisioned or prepared to explore, but they could see off course, and they would document these in their ship logs. And then someone like Magellan, when he's making this map here, he'd go grab those ship logs and kind of fill in the blanks with what people start saying they see at what latitude, so that they can build a depiction of the world that exists as they know it, even without having full exploration. Yeah, that's true too. So I think that what he was saying about Columbus was, and I'm going off of what this gentleman's saying here. I didn't delve into this map and try to debunk it or anything. I just pulled it up. So he said it's the Columbus map, and I'm going to take him at face value on that. You do make a good point that Columbus is on this map, so obviously this was printed after Columbus's voyage, but this would have been presumably before Cook, because of the ambiguous nature of the southern continent.
You guys sailed around it? That's a real question. I asked all the Australians if there's any seafarers or whatnot. It's a really, really good question, guys. You know, if you're looking at the bourgeois and stuff, because yeah, the territory and the fact that it's there. And
you can actually like drive all the way around the continent of Australia. You can like circumnavigate the whole continent. I think it would take quite a bit, like several weeks, but you can go all the way around the coast. It's the longest coastal cliffs in the world in Australia, so that might be a journey worth taking.
Anyway, we'll go jump on the other map.
Another map.
See, right here.
I want to see the T-Rex on the map.
What's that a picture of? Very interesting. If that's not Australia, we have this continent. Some interesting creatures.
Is this the same map we were just looking at, though, my dude?
What's it called? The big ice age, tall ice age creatures.
Oh, there's
You
a
know,
lion.
it's this one looks more deserty. There's some reptiles.
Tartaria.
Yeah, I don't know where modern day Australia is on this map, but yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I mean, they have all kinds of cool creatures, all kinds of elephants all over those. You know?
Got a miner.
Yeah, I don't know, guys.
I can't get an idea.
Look up
It looks
Asia
like
real
you're
quick.
up by
What camels look like.
Europe here.
But like chimeras,
Asia.
unicorns.
Where are you?
You know, it's
I can't
interesting.
tell where you're.
Very interesting. Here's that from that previous video, the area of the Lopnur. But yeah, very
I don't
interesting.
know what this
Trying to figure out
map
what
is.
Queensland
That
is.
looks more like
Is
it's
that
supposed to be Africa.
Where the dinosaur
Oh,
is?
hold on. There we go. There we go. He said a name. So I see Gianna, but I'm not sure. All right, Terra, Nova. So this is New Guinea again. Yeah, this is the same map he was just.
Very
looking
interesting.
at.
Trying to figure out where Queensland is. Is that it? Where the dinosaur is?
We're still looking at New Guinea,
Bonjour.
dude.
But anyway, like and subscribe to question.
That would be Australia over there, maybe. The desert went over there. Is that where you were before? Let me see. I'm not trying to bully this person. I just
For Tartaria, we are we don't have a whole lot of subscribers, but that doesn't matter. It looks like we're kind of just picking out the people that are awakening, I believe. The ones that are further awake, I might say. Everybody may be awakening, but the ones that are really awake, I know they joined Tartaria.
saw a lobster.
A special treat. I got some remnants of the inland sea right here. Kind of the Sierra Nevada.
Before
Sierra
the
Nevada,
reset?
in California. But yeah, I found some coral right here in the desert. Check it out. You can see the life that was once in these rocks.
Yeah.
Coral that was in the sea,
Yep.
the inland sea.
That is true.
I bet you guys might like that. Coral.
This is probably Paleozoic life, I'm guessing. I don't know which time period. It's going to depend on which formation he's in. And maybe we can watch that video at another point too. But let's
Okay, so if we go back
wrap
to the
this
map,
up.
I do believe this says Australia. It says Australia, Australe. Glaciato, the mayor of Australia Glaciato. That's interesting. And then you've got some awesome creatures too. Look like they had those Ice Age back in the 1500s. They had the Ice Age creatures here. And guys, do they still in Australia? I mean, it's hardly discovered. I mean, you guys are all living just on the side here, And
That
watch
does
out for
look
these
more
in the
like
water, right? Who knows
Australia.
what's gonna happen. This reminds me of the Book of Enoch, and makes me start questioning how long ago did that all happen with crossing humans and
I wonder
animals
if
and
those
stuff.
are supposed to represent
Could be a cycle that
dugongs,
keeps happening.
maybe.
And I would put my money on this area, or up here for the Bonjour's modern, where it lives. I don't know if it could have crossed the sea there, but I doubt it. But it could very well have migrated to there.
I think there's that
Tartaria region. And it tells you, I wish I could read all this. The land, the terra. Wouldn't that be crazy if we saw Bonjour right here? Oh my gosh. Some kind of... What is that? Some kind of dog creature? Hey, it fits the bill. People say it's
I
a
mean,
dog,
there's
the dog-like
mythical
creatures
creatures
from
there. I
the
think there's a
Simpsons stuff.
centaur over there. So, yeah, there's
these
the
guys.
centaur, but you're worried about the dog creature?
There's that lizard the one guy was talking about. Apparently the Australians had to kill this giant lizard when they first colonized there. And the lizard was eating people, so it's a big prehistoric lizard, like a
Megalania was
supersized Komodo dragon. And they had to kill it by, when it would bask in the sun in the morning, they would shoot it in the head with a musket. That's how they would kill him. They killed them all off. Guys,
Well, there was lots of
this
large
be our Bonjour?
monitor lizards in the southern
picture of it.
continents, but
It's in the arms.
Megalania was believed to be extinct long before white settlers arrived, before colonizers showed up. But the Aborigines did have stories that some believe are relating tales of Megalania.
Look at the... No, I don't think so. Look at the arms. It's small arms in the front, right?
Yeah, he's bouncing all over the place, Peter. I can't keep up with what he's looking at because he's moving through it so fast, and I can't track the map.
Or that.
I even have it
It's just
going
odd. It's hard to
slow,
make
so
out. Those might be mammals, but maybe stretching. But these are definitely lizards.
those are lizards. Yeah, and the
Not exactly a
centaur.
satyr hunting over there.
That's
What if
a
they wiped out
centaur, not
in
a
the last great
satyr.
reset? The powers that be wiped out all the mythological creatures off the earth.
The last
as well as the
reset.
humans that were in
We
control
are
of the
well
earth.
familiar with that here in the
What an
Hive.
interesting-
The narrative of
thought,
the
right?
reset.
But anyway, there you go. There's your Australia. I do believe. I don't know if this is a part of it, but there's a lot more to
Yeah,
explore.
I think
And
that's
I hope
probably
you like and
right.
subscribe to Quest for Tartaria. We are on YouTube and on BitChute. If you find us anywhere else, then they're hopefully advertising for us. But if you want to help Quest for Tartaria, jump on YouTube and BitChute. There is more to come. All right, take care.
Yeah, it looks like I will have to find that map in order to. Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop that up. I need to start closing that when I'm done. Yeah, we'll have to locate some of these maps sometime. Sometime on CrypticCorner, we're gonna do an ancient map stream. So, or I might do that with somebody who has some knowledge on this time period and the way the maps were made. That would be great. And bring someone on who actually has some knowledge on the subject to give us insight from the field. That would be amazing. But yes, this has been CrypticCorner for today. It did run a little bit long, but we had a lot to go over. We were exploring the whole land of Tartaria, which is apparently a southern continent that includes Australia and Antarctica, due to those being adjoined on old ancient maps of the modern world. And there was apparently dinosaurs that lived there, including and up to tyrannosaurs. But that being said, let us move on to our next topic, and I will see you after intermission.
Did the evolutionists just kill a pterodactyl? Or did they finally catch up to the creationists?
Obviously, there's not going to be a ton of talk about these things. And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War. And they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out. And this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. And it's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so, I don't believe that just because, at some point in time, coming from your perspective, that, just because they stopped talking about it means that they never saw it, when we have all this evidence that they've seen it.
Hello, my name is John Pendleton, and I'm speaking to you from Zacatecas, Mexico, center of Mexico. And today I'm going to tell you of my project to attract and capture a real living pterodactyl dinosaur.
But to the Christian, it makes common sense. Of course, there could be a few still alive. That's the first sighting I've heard of in Fort Worth, Texas. I've heard of them in Arizona. A friend of mine knows where some of them live, and he's going to go catch them and put them in a dinosaur adventure land he's going to build. And I can't reveal the details yet.
They're a form of what people call them pterodactyl. But if you consider them descended from some type of ramphorhynchoid pterosaur.